Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Butterfly Effect podcast. And today we are talking about The Wolf Among Us 2. Now, Liam, you sent me a link on Messenger a couple of days back, basically saying that the Wolf Among Us, its rights or it's going public or something like that. I don't know if you want to share a bit more information.
Yeah, so about 3 full days ago from when we're recording this, there's been a bit of drama, a bit of gossip for you, Jack, regarding DC Comics and Fables. The creator of it, his name's Bill Willingham, I believe. I'll just paraphrase a quote. He says, "I chose to give it away to everyone." This is talking about the licensings. "If I couldn't prevent Fables from falling into bad hands, at least this is a way I can arrange that it also falls into many good hands, since I truly believe there are more good people in the world than bad ones. I count this as a form of victory." Obviously, DC kind of had the rights to it as well, but then the guys made it public domain. Now, this probably stems from fallout of creative differences. DC maybe doing stuff that, they disagreed with, maybe. There was parts of the article where he wasn't very fond of the Wolf Among Us 1 game, and there was different decisions. Apparently Telltale and DC did a lot of things that were against the Fables comics, right? So now it's basically out in public domain. Now, although it's sad, this does mean that public domain, if you're a filmmaker out there, you basically have the rights to Wolf Among Us. They can't copyright strike you for anything. So we might be seeing a lot of fan-made films, or maybe possible big blockbuster films to do with The Wolf Among Us coming around the corner. So it's very mixed news, but right on the horizon when we're talking about Wolf Among Us 2 coming out, it's just such relevant news, and it's very interesting, lad, that's it's going to completely change the complexion of Wolf Among Us as we know it.
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, on a separate note, sometimes I think that fan-led ideas can actually be better than what the studios do at times. So it'll be interesting to see what actually comes of it, like you say, whether it's whether it's like a TV series or a film, or or your more just basic online stuff. But yeah, I mean, do you know what I mean? It's obviously a very big name. It's arguably Telltale's most popular game. But yeah, I can understand why it's massive news, mate.
Yeah, in the article there's a lot of stuff, describes about how they had years to do stuff with it and they didn't, and it felt like, in their wording, unhappy marriage. So yeah, it's just interesting that we've probably got this Wolf Among Us 1 game that we all loved, and then you've probably got the writer of the comics who's ripping their hair out. So yeah, just super interesting, and I just really wonder what that means for the Wolf Among Us 2, lad.
Yeah, I memean, I'm guessing almost to deviate, whether this would almost fit within the whole news article thing, I'm not sure. But it's fun, with Wolf Among Us 2, I'll throw it back to you. What are your expectations for it? Are they absolutely sky high because Wolf Among Us 1 was so good? Or, maybe post Expanse, that's been tempered a little bit? Where do you sort of sit?
Oh god, it's an interesting one, mate, because I'm very on the fence, because I feel like if you look at the trailer for The Wolf Among Us 1, there's clearly a lot more heart and effort in than they gave with the Expanse. If you look at the Expanse trailer, we just kind of had a little 1-minute footage thing, mainly just things clipped from episodes 1 and 2. It felt almost half-baked. Wolf Among Us 2, we had this really brilliant opening trailer. Clearly it's a series they care about, they know how well it's done, how fans are so excited for this one. A lot of eyes were on The Wolf Among Us over the Expanse, and I'm a part of that as well. I can't fully hide that. The optimistic side in me wants to say I do think it will be better than the Expanse. As well, the fact that I know Wolf Among Us, I don't know the Expanse, so I feel like that's naturally going to, pique my interest and kind of a lot more so. But then again, yeah, after some of the stuff that we've seen in the Expanse, we've said it in our analysis series, if you guys want to watch that, but I said stuff about how the episodes were too short, the pacing felt off, the character direction felt really bad. You would rush certain story arcs in 2 episodes and then you would leave them at the door for another 2 episodes, and it felt very wishy-washy. So yeah, I do have my anxieties going into The Wolf Among Us 2, but I know, same time, lad, I just have this little kind of like happy-go-lucky feeling that it will be better than the Expanse. How about you?
See, the thing is with me, don't get me wrong, I like The Wolf Among Us. I think it was a good game. Obviously, I've only played it once. I'm not like a crazy die-hard fan for it, right? And I don't know, like, I think that nostalgia and I think that people's expectations are going to be so key for this. You think it's been, what, nearly a decade since the first one come out. Obviously, earlier on this year, we had the delay, and they obviously come out and said we're delaying it because we want to make sure the product is right for people. But again, this can like really increase expectations. I just wonder if, like, you know, given how popular the first one was, that it's basically an impossible task for them to, you know, top it or even match the first one. So, like, I guess I'm looking at this on a slightly more pessimistic angle. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it's like a really good game. But just as someone who's not like a die-hard fan that's sort of sitting slightly from the outside, I'm like, you know, and obviously like you've said post-Expanse, it's like, yeah, like I'm going to go into this maybe like a little bit less... What's the word I'm looking for? I'm just, like I say, my expectations aren't going to be as high, because
sure.
Like if they are, then you're just asking to be disappointed, if you get me.
I love our dynamic because I swear we like switch who gets to be good cop, bad cop, but it works really well. So yeah. No, like one thing I want to say about Wolf Among Us as well is that the reason I loved the first one so much, funnily enough, it's less about the game, less about the branching. Like from memory, I think it's actually quite a linear game. A lot more so than, say, like the Walking Dead game potentially, even though both are still fairly kind of linear. The thing that really sells me is like the kind of like the characters, the music, the fable setting, and above all that, like the you know, that noir intro with that really cool music. It kind of had like Sin City noir vibes to it. So like I'm just excited to see more of that kind of like that feel, to be honest, lad. But yeah, like you're not wrong. Like the Expanse blundered a lot of stuff, and it certainly is going to raise eyebrows and you know, pose a lot of question marks going into this game, lad. And if fans are skeptical, I feel like they have every right to be.
Yeah, and obviously those that are listening to this that didn't catch the end of our episode 5 analysis episode, we are going to be covering The Wolf Among Us next for our analysis series, sort of like looking back at it. And you know what, like you say, there are definitely things I do like this game. There are definitely things that are really good about it, but obviously I don't really remember that much either. So, do you know what I mean? Even just like looking back at this conversation now, I wonder whether like my position's going to have changed, you know, come the start of Wolf Among Us 2. Maybe I'll be like every other fan where their expectations are through the roof, you know? Just, yeah, I'm almost in that position where I'm trying to like temper it a little bit because I don't want to be ultimately disappointed, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like I'm either going to play or watch the game very soon now that the Expanse is finished, and I'm going into it with a very open mind, you know. I'm going to like maybe look out for little flaws and criticisms that I can really bring into the analysis series we do, lad. But yeah. I'm also like, there's a lot of stuff I don't really remember about the series, so I'm ready to just jump in and get wowed as well. So yeah, like it'll be really interesting when we do our analysis series, because I'm going to have a kind of fresh take, you know, and like a really big open mind going into it. So yeah, no, for sure, lad.
Okay, sweet. So guys, that was a Wolf Among Us update. Of course, do stay tuned on the channel. We're going to be first on it when it comes to Wolf Among Us 2 news. Like we've mentioned, we're going to be doing the Wolf Among Us analysis series and all the bonus videos that come with that. So yeah, definitely stay tuned on the channel. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you in the next one, guys. Take care.